The Vibe at Vibe is sponsored video content brought to you by MedCity News.
Hello, I'm Arundhati Parmar, Editor-in-Chief of MedCity News, and I have with me here today Mike Worth, Chief Commercial Officer of Provider Trust. So Mike, what makes provider data such a headache for payers?
What makes data such a headache for payers? I'd say, really it's three things. There's this burden of heritage. So many of these payers have been working in this space for so long. They've got different systems, different platforms. I mean, some of the work that they're trying to get done comes with things that they've purchased years and years ago that they're trying to make right. There's data on top of data from lots of different sources, which is really the second issue. And it's really how it's siloed. So much data is siloed. And I feel like I'm an expert on this. I'm from Nebraska originally, so I kind of understand this. It works well for grain, but not necessarily for provider data, right? Okay. When you're trying to be able to share information across functions or teams or systems, it wasn't designed, it was never built to solve an integrated issue. And I think the last thing that they run into is that there's this false negative, or really this false promise that's out there on so many fronts. Provider data, at the core of it, is allowing for eligibility of a practitioner, enabling us to be able to say, yes, this practitioner can deliver care, can make sure that they're safe, or that patients are going to be safe through the care and treatment that they go through. If you operate under this false negative that there's nothing wrong, when actually there's data out there that says that to be the case, but vendors or other types of organizations that are delivering the solution aren't able to figure that out, it's one of the scariest things that they have to contend with, and one of the most challenging things about data in our space.
So let's drill down a little bit, Mike. What are the consequences of messy provider data?
Well, let's start with the fact that it just makes the work difficult for so many individuals, including the providers themselves, right? Let's not forget the providers in this equation. A plan is at the end of the day trying to engage with the provider network to be able to provide more effective and ultimately safe care that their members are, have the right to be able to experience. So the more difficult and the more complex that it is for these payer organizations to navigate this world, it can create all kinds of problems in the provider experience and the member experience, and certainly for the folks who are trying to be able to make that go and make it work inside of the four walls of the payer organization.
So how does your company, Provider Trust, address this problem of provider data?
The solve, if you will, it's really a sum of the parts. And if you think about provider data, what we've got to be able to do is to make it easy for the practitioner to enroll with the plan. We've got to make it easy for those folks who work inside of that payer organization to be able to have access to the right information and accurate information that's relevant for the business issues that they're trying to solve for. We've got to be able to make that a lot easier for them. Well, so much of this data that exists out there doesn't enable that to occur. So what we've done is we've taken the most simple, most ubiquitous number that's out there, which is the NPI. And now we can take that and associate a tremendous amount of information with it. The actual license information of a practitioner, but not just the license information, an actual screenshot of that. We can extrapolate data from that image. We can do ongoing monitoring of board actions to make sure that if someone is in your network, we're checking to see, is there any type of issue that shows up between a credentialing and a re-credentialing event? So many of these payers today rest on and are kind of ensuring that, or making decisions based on the fact that there's not an excluded provider in their network. We don't think that's good enough. You should be able to know ahead of time if there's a potential issue. We've done such studies on this that we know that an excluded practitioner, not only can it cost a tremendous amount in fines and penalties for a payer organization, but we also know that that exclusion might not show up on any federal or state registry for 6 months, 9 months, sometimes never. And so being able to get out in front of that, to be in a proactive, identifying those real positive issues that are out there, not only can help the payer stay out in front of it, but ultimately is going to make a better member experience for all of their constituents.
So let's look forward a little bit. What has to change for the industry to move beyond this point, this problem?
So I've talked about this with a lot of my friends and colleagues that are in the space, and one of the things that's just got to be different is embracing the fact that utilizing a manila folder to manage credentialing, and really the premise of that's just got to go away. A one-time, a transactional check, there's so much data that's available if we leverage technology to be able to find out what's going on with these practitioners throughout the entirety of their experience with this plan. We've got to make it easier for the practitioners themselves to be able to submit information and do that one time, not this onerous over and over and over again. And we've got to be able to just embrace the fact that work is going to work differently. There's a platform that can enable a process, a platform of credentialing, of provider data management, but we've got to enable individuals to be able to then utilize technology to manage those processes. Well, not all data is created equal. And so embracing the fact that data that is inside of those platforms and that those people can access, that data, even though everybody says it's publicly available, it's not all the same. It can be very, very different. And I think those things, once the industry really embraces that, we're going to see a lot of positive change for everyone involved.